all-new travel show called Unscaled, each and every Saturday at 2 p.m. right here on KSHP AM 1400 and the all-new 107.1 FM North Las Vegas. With each show, I'm going to be your guide to the latest travel and entertainment news in Las Vegas, across the country, and around the world. Discover new destinations, forgotten favorites, and exciting travel stories by joining me, the Full Metal Traveler, each Saturday at 2 p.m. on Unscaled right here on KSHP AM 1400 and the all-new 107.1 FM North Las Vegas.
There's plenty of things to do in LA, but nothing can compare to a day at Raging Waters Los Angeles. With 60 beautifully landscaped acres of slides and attraction, family fun for everyone. Catch a gnarly wave in the Wave Go, or race for the win on the super fast Raging Racer. With more water rides than any other water park in Southern California, Raging Waters Los Angeles is recognized as the state's largest water park. For more information, visit ragingwaters.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? We made it to Friday. Yes, we did. Welcome. It is Pushing the Limits time. So glad you could join us. Very special show lined up for you today. Friday, I like it to be a little bit more of a relaxed show. Things could get a little bit stressful in studio at times, and they very well still might. I doubt it, but they might. We will be talking about the Donald Trump indictment here in a few, and the statements that he made as he headed back onto his plane. I think he might have lied about his weight. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Donald Trump is not 6'3", 215 pounds. We'll talk about that and have a little fun with that. A little bit of levity won't hurt you on a Friday afternoon, right, folks? Carlos Santana, I am so disappointed in him. The comments he made on stage the other night have gone viral. I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with gay and transgender people, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, this guy does voiceover work. He's a very popular comedian. He's headlining in Vegas this weekend. He does voiceover work for pretty much everybody. Every top video game out there. Extremely talented guy, very funny comedian. The very funny and talented Jeff Leach is going to be joining us in studio. I'm really excited for this. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, he's performing in Vegas this weekend. Coming up in hour number 2, she is a life coach. She is a pastor turned stripper. She makes a lot of money, and I love getting her takes on anything and everything in the world, especially when it comes to religion. Nikole Mitchell is going to be joining us in hour number 2, so that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so as you know, yesterday, Donald Trump was indicted. And it's funny because there were a few people with signs outside the Georgia courthouse that said blacks for Trump. And there was one guy with a sign that said, with the N-word on it, he's a black guy, that word for Trump. And, you know, there's always going to be a small group of people that are going to support him no matter what in this country. And maybe it's not that small. Maybe it's like 30%. I don't know. But, you know, he was in and out of there in 15 minutes. Now, I got to be honest with all of you. I thought that they had to weigh Donald Trump. I thought that he actually had to step on a scale. And I think I'm not alone because there were actually offshore sports books that set an over-under on his weight. And if memory serves me right, I think it was 273.5, which I thought was actually probably pretty accurate. Because I thought, I think as did many others, that he would actually be forced to step on a scale. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the case. We'll get into that here in just a few minutes and share with everybody what he said his weight was at. But before we do that, I want to play Donald Trump audio for you because he spoke to the media not before going to the jailhouse, but after the jailhouse. Donald Trump spoke in front of the media, and here's exactly what Donald Trump had to say. And by the way, he only spoke for about a minute or so. Here is what Donald Trump had to say after he made the court, or I should say after he turned himself in.
It's a very sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election. and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have three other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think it's very dishonest. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's be very clear from a legal perspective. He did not challenge an election. Challenging an election is not coming up with a fake electorate scheme to try to illegally overturn the outcome of election. That is why Donald Trump is probably going to go to jail. Challenging an election is what Al Gore did. If you notice, Al Gore wasn't indicted, and by the way, that was a very, very close election. It came down to like a couple thousand votes. Al Gore challenged an election. He didn't incite an insurrection. He didn't break the law. He didn't come up with a fake electorate scheme. He didn't pressure Brad Raffensperger. If you really want to know who was involved in election interference, it wasn't anybody in Georgia. It wasn't anybody in this country other than at the direction of Donald Trump, because he didn't accept the election results, but worse, he lied. Challenging something isn't saying that you won and the Democrats cheated. Challenging something isn't coming up with a fake electorate scheme, breaking the law, trying to overturn the will of the American people. Donald Trump did not challenge an election. Obviously, his attorneys told him to say that. Donald Trump broke the law. Donald Trump came up with this fake electorate scheme. And mark my words, the 18 co-conspirators, I would imagine at least half of them eventually will be coming up with some sort of plea deal with prosecutors to testify against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the mastermind behind this. If not for Donald Trump, January 6th doesn't happen. If not for Donald Trump, none of his attorneys, none of the people like Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, who are despicable, but their behavior is absolutely despicable, but they wouldn't be indicted. This was at the leader in the hands, the small hands, of Donald Trump. He talks about how this is election interference, and he's trying to say, listen, they're just trying to get me off the ballot. First of all, a lot of Democrats want Donald Trump to run on the right. Independents, a lot of them want Donald Trump to run on the right because they know that Joe Biden will defeat him again. But that's here nor there. Donald Trump makes the case, and I would imagine his attorneys are going to attempt to make the case, and they're not going to be able to, that this is election interference, and all I did was challenge an election. Again, challenging an election is not what we saw on January 6th. But Brian, Donald Trump didn't break into the Capitol. He incited. But regardless, challenging an election isn't saying that I won and the Democrats cheated. Challenging an election, and this is the most important one, as I say again, isn't coming up with a fake electorate scheme. And there is overwhelming evidence that Donald Trump tried to get Mike Pence to overturn the outcome of the election illegally. Mike Pence said it himself on a debate stage the other night. Illegally. And yes, Mike Pence chose the Constitution over Donald Trump. That is why Donald Trump is where he is when it comes to this case in Georgia. He broke the law. It's going to be proven in court. He didn't just challenge an election. That is nonsense. And it is a ridiculous defense. It is no defense. And mark my words, Donald Trump, within a year, is going to be a convicted felon. And that will be on his record for the rest of his life. I don't know whether he's going to be going to jail or not. I really don't. If I had to guess right now, if he's still alive within a few years, he's probably going to be going to jail. I would say 60-40. I actually think there's a good chance that the former president is going to go to jail. Now, people are saying, show me the evidence. Well, if some of you are able to read, and I would imagine some of you are, maybe some of you don't know how to read. If some of you are able to read, excuse me, read the indictment or the indictments. Read the scheme that Donald Trump put together to try to overturn the outcome of the election. There is boatloads of evidence at the hands of many of his co-conspirators that he was trying to overturn the will of the people. That is a crime. I haven't even gotten into the Jack Smith case and defying a subpoena for 14 months and the illegal things he did with those classified documents. But when it comes to the classified documents case, people want to compare it to Joe Biden and Mike Pence. There is no comparison because they cooperated. They cooperated with the FBI. They didn't defy a subpoena. Donald Trump did because he's dumb. That's why. And then people want to make comparisons to Hillary Clinton and the server that was wiped. They want to make that same comparison. Well, here's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Just a small detail for you. Just an itty-bitty small detail. You see, that server that Hillary Clinton had was wiped way before the FBI got involved. She didn't defy any subpoenas. Oh, by the way, she also testified under oath for hours. You're allowed to destroy a piece of your own property, whether that be a server or my cell phone. That's not breaking the law. But you can't defy a subpoena for 14 months and not do what the FBI asks of you. That's what Donald Trump did. If you didn't do anything wrong, then just turn over the materials. He didn't do that. That's going to come out in the courts, and that's the other case. As far as the Georgia case is concerned, to me, this is the strongest case possible. Racketeering, trying to come up with a fake electorate scheme, which we know traveled all the way here to Nevada and other states throughout the country. And his 18 co-conspirators will certainly be chirping. I guarantee you that. If they're facing jail time like Mark Meadows and others, I guarantee you that they're going to start chirping. So if you want evidence, read the indictment. If you think I'm delusional, like some of you might be saying, what have I said that you disagree with? Out of these 91 felony charges, is he completely innocent? Donald Trump didn't break the law? He didn't do anything wrong? How am I delusional? I'm going to give you some facts now, regardless of what you might think. He's facing 91 felony counts. He's facing some very serious charges, including the Espionage Act and racketeering. Trying to overturn the outcome of an election, defying a subpoena for 14 months. I haven't even mentioned the Stormy Daniels case because I think it's the weakest of them all. I beg to differ. I think you're delusional. If you think Donald Trump isn't in a lot of trouble, you're delusional. And a lot of people say, oh, you Trump haters out there, you suffer from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. I would beg to the contrary. You suffer from TFS, Trump fellatio syndrome. That's what you suffer from, and you're a member of a cult. I'm going to take some calls now at 702-221-7283. And if you'd like to be a part of the program, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's start off with Edward joining into the show. Hi, Edward. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. How's it going? Happy Friday to you,
Happy
brother.
Friday, man. What's on your mind?
Happy Friday. Oh, first of all, I just want to say really quick, rest in peace to Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, by the way. I want to give a shout-out to them, and I hope they're okay.
Yes, amen.
To them,
amen, brother.
Amen. And I wanted to bring up, I read a quote, and I think it might relate to you or the whatchamacallit, the politician, you know, they had that thing with the Republicans, the debate the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I found this quote by Socrates, and he said, strong minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, weak minds discuss people. And I think sometimes we need to think about that. We got to quit talking so much about people and about what can we do instead, you know?
Well, the person and the people that I talk about are the ones that are the front runner for the Republican nominee, and that's Donald Trump. So you have to talk about people sometimes. And Donald Trump is the face of the Republican Party right now, and in all intents and purposes, he's going to be the one that's going to be running against Joe Biden. So I think you can do all those things. I think you can talk about people, you can talk about events, And you can talk about policy. I mean, anytime I have somebody in studio that might be a Republican or a Democrat, sure, I'll ask them some questions about Donald Trump, but I'm always asking them questions about policy. And certainly we talked about policy after the debate yesterday. And so I think there's ways you can do all those, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Of course, and that's why I was wondering, like, why Georgia? They only have 16 electoral votes. Why didn't they go after Texas or California or New York?
Because
other,
I'll tell you why. Because he knew when he said, "Can you find me 1,100 and whatever votes?" He knew that would turn it, and it was close. So that's why he put pressure on Brad Raffensperger, and that's why he's in the position that he is now, because it was so close in Georgia. And he said, I just need you to find me this many votes, which is also illegal. You can't pressure secretaries of state to do that, especially at the time when you're the president of the United States. That's why he's in a lot of trouble. I think we can do both. We can do all three of those things. You can talk about events, you can talk about people, and you can talk about policy. And I try to do all three of those things on this show.
Yeah, I mean, Socrates said that. I thought it was a cool quote when I heard about it. I was like, okay, let me see what he had to say about it. But then again, also, one last thing, like when we look at Donald Trump's mugshot, we're going to see this sort of for the next 100, 200, 300 years. It's going to be in the history book.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are making it out to be a bigger deal than it is. I mean, for Donald Trump, and by the way, I appreciate the call, Edward. I hope you have a great weekend, and it's good to hear from you, sir.
Likewise.
Thank you. Listen, Donald Trump is going to use this as a money maker, because he has so much money for himself, right? But he's always asking for your money. And, you have Dinesh D'Souza and other deplorables out there that are making it out to, comparing it to Martin Luther King, and it's an absolute joke. There's nothing heroic about what Donald Trump has done. There's nothing heroic about his behavior or that mugshot. And we'll see how much of a gloater Donald Trump is when he's behind bars. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Paul?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, Paul. What's on your mind?
Hey, it just made me so happy to see that man with a mugshot. I've called a couple of times. I was a Republican for a long, long time until that party became a cult of their Orange Jesus. I still can't. And I don't got your opinion on this. It's still shocking how these people ignore. I mean, I would date a Trump supporter because you can cheat on her with their mom, with their wife, with their sister, and she would never leave you. I mean, it seems like no matter what this Jim Jones cult leader does, it's just based on white grievance. It's like,
yeah. Well, Paul.
Paul.
Donald Trump said it himself. I agree with you. Remember when Donald Trump said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would still support me? Guess what? Donald Trump was right. He's right sometimes. It's a cult out there. And when people tell me, Paul, that it's not a cult, I say this. I say, have you seen any malarkey flags on boats or on the back of pickup trucks? No, of course not. In fact, most Democrats out there, if you ask them, most Democrats or people that voted for Joe Biden in 2000 would say they'd rather have somebody else run, but they would still vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Trump hasn't won anybody over that didn't support him before. He still has the same supporters, right? But he hasn't won anybody else over, and Republicans are not smart enough, it seems like, to number one, admit that. And number two, understand that if you really want to win the presidency, you got to go a different path.
They seem to enjoy losing, and that's what's shocking to me. Like, even on the debate stage, I thought that was an embarrassment. It was like, somebody would talk about education, they're like, boo, and then somebody would say, George Soros, to be, yay! You would talk about foreign policy, boo!
Good point.
Antifa, yay! It's completely about culture wars. It's BS. It's like,
oh, you are 100% right. I talked about that on the show yesterday, exactly what you are talking about. If anybody spoke truth about Donald Trump, it could have been Hutchinson, it could have been Chris Christie, it could have been Nikki Haley. If anybody spoke truth and even said Donald Trump's behavior is beneath the presidency, they started booing. If anybody said anything negative about Vladimir Putin, they started booing. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene in the crowd, and there are many people like her in the crowd, and they are cultists. And then Republicans asked themselves, why have we lost 6 of the last 7 presidential elections by far popular vote? That's the reason. Instead of talking about, I give Nikki Haley credit for even though I disagree with her on a lot of the things she said, at least she was reasonable and honest. She called Vladimir Putin a murderer, and she called Donald Trump, probably the most hated politician in this country. Guess what? She's right on both counts.
How are we, I still remember a time where we can have a disagreement, but we both lived in some kind of reality. Now it feels like I'm having a conversation with somebody and they want to talk about injecting UV light and George Soros, and it's like,
Yeah,
I
you're
show
right.
videos or evidence, and it's like, legitimately, how are we supposed to find the middle ground of people
You're right.
that don't even live in reality? I
You
genuinely don't understand how we're supposed to get there.
Paul, it's a really good point you make, and there's certain people that you just can't have conversations with. Like, I have Republican friends. Many of them are old school Reagan Republicans, and I can sit down with them, and even though we might not agree on everything, we have good, reasonable conversations, and I appreciate that about them. And, there are Republicans out there where you can sit with them and you might disagree with them on stuff, but they don't say bat-you-know-what crazy things like the 2020 election was stolen, or, Dr. Fauci is the one who orchestrated and the Democrats and George Soros created COVID. You could sit down with some reasonable people, but I got to tell you, I blame Donald Trump for a lot of this stuff. We always had Alex Jones way before Donald Trump, but it wasn't a huge part of the Republican base. And now it is. And listen, you reap what you sow. Joe Walsh, former presidential candidate, guy who supported Donald Trump in 2016. I mean, he said it best. I've lost my party. We don't have a party anymore. They don't believe in the rule of law. A bunch of them are Marjorie Taylor Greens who believe in conspiracy theories. And if they keep going down that path, they're not going to win another presidential election. I'll tell you that right now.
And I was the same way, Brian. I was a Republican most of my life, and I wasn't like a quote-unquote political person. And I'm still embarrassed, but I voted for him, not because I liked him, but because I kind of felt like all these politicians are corrupt, and I was like, let's try an anti-politician.
Yeah.
But the second he took office, I went like,
Paul, it's not your
what the
fault.
hell did I just vote for?
Paul, it's not your fault, and I'm going to admit something, and I've said this on the air before. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Trump, but I also didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because I didn't like either of them. I made a grave mistake. We both made a mistake, but we didn't do it intentionally. Yeah. I saw Donald Trump, if you remember, when he went to the White House and he visited Barack Obama, and I saw a tame Donald Trump, and I said to myself, you know what? Maybe this is going to work out. Maybe Donald Trump will lower the rhetoric and maybe he'll be an okay president. I actually believed that after he visited Obama in the White House. Boy, was I wrong. There were a lot of us that were wrong. I don't think anybody could have seen this coming, right? And it turned out to be a disaster. And people say, well, I liked a couple of his policies. Guess what? That doesn't work anymore. The guy's a criminal. He's hopefully going to go to jail. He'll have his day in court to defend himself. I know it's innocent until proven guilty. He is a disgrace to this country. And it seems like everybody around him ends up going to jail, gets convicted of something, and I don't know why they still support this guy. I don't know why anybody would ever want to work for this guy. He just hired a new attorney yesterday. Attorneys don't even want to take this case. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, Paul, but don't beat yourself up over 2016 because I made the same mistake.
Yeah, I hope we can get past it because I know a lot of people blame Trump for this, and to an extent, yes, but I think he's a symptom of a bigger issue because I think what he's tapped into is this own the libtard Confederacy, 1776 America, where, everyone that's a Democrat that has a different point of view is my political enemy. Don't tread on me. They're coming for my freedoms. It's like, they're always creating this fictitious boogeyman that's always coming after them and their freedoms. And he's basically enabled that and said, yeah, it's all real. And me with the gold toilets that's flying in $1 billion airplane that owns a mansion. I'm the one that's actually fighting for you, and they're coming after me. Like,
that's
dude, why do you need $5 if you're a millionaire?
Paul, that's you're right, Paul. That's Ron DeSantis's entire campaign. He's the one on the debate stage the other day. He talked about gender ideology. He brought up Hunter Biden's paintings. He brought up
Soros.
He brought up George Soros. He brought up indoctrinating our kids. To everyone else's credit, for the most part, they didn't. And then there are people that say, oh, Ron DeSantis, he did a great job in the debate. I'm like, what debate were you watching? I know it's laughable. He memorized a couple sentences. Like, how could you say Ron DeSantis won anything? He stood up there like a clown and just spewed off some right-wing talking points that he memorized and a couple one-liners. That's how you win a debate? I don't know. Paul, great call, my friend. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week. All right, buddy? Thank you. Appreciate the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Great points by Paul. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next. What's up, Carl?
Well, hey, Brian. I know you're short on time, so a real quick question.
Yeah.
What do you think of Pence's character as a man? What do you think of him?
That's interesting. Nobody's ever asked me that question. Well, I don't think he has any bit of a backbone. It took him way too long to call out Trump to begin with, until it was too late. He kept very quiet to the media until it was too late. So I don't think he's a man. And he's, he talks a lot about God. And listen, I don't mind if people are religious.
No.
That's not why I dislike him. I dislike him because he judges other people. First of all, he's on a debates and he's a liar, right? You want to talk about God and then you're lying. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
On the debate stage the other day, he made it seem like if he becomes president, he will abolish abortion altogether. And Nikki Haley set him straight, and I appreciate her, even though they both agree and they both call themselves pro-life. That's another story. I would call themselves anti-abortion, not pro-life.
Yeah.
But Nikki Haley made a great point. Nikki Haley said, listen, we're never going to get the votes to abolish abortion, so you got to stop saying that. And she basically said, let's just agree with what we all agree on, and let's start with late-term abortion. Okay, I didn't have a problem with that. And Mike Pence was standing up there making it seem like he could abolish abortion as president, which, by the way, he couldn't.
Right. Well, look at this point real quick. They were asked who on the panel would pardon Trump if he became president, and Pence raised his hand. Here's a man who Trump had to have murdered in the White House. Some of his family were there at the time not the White House, at the Congress. And his family was there. What kind of man would then feel good thoughts about somebody who tried to have him killed?
I agree. Listen, you're not going to get an argument from me, Carl. I certainly appreciate the call, sir. Thank you very much. And I will say this. It's not even that, he's on the wrong side of history. He's also very dry, very boring. He has no personality. I do think in this day and age, you have to have some sort of charisma and personality. And yes, I do believe Mike Pence is a coward. He should have stood up to Donald Trump way before he decided to run for president. He decided not to do that because he thought at least it would be politically convenient for him to wait. While there were people out there on January 6th that were screaming and chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," you would have thought that was enough for Mike Pence to say, okay, enough is enough. But he waited way too long to call out Donald Trump. And as far as I'm concerned, I have zero respect for him. I'm glad he went on a debate stage and said exactly what happened on January 6th and what Donald Trump asked him to do. I'm glad he at least did that, but that was not enough. I'll never have respect for Mike Pence. He should have spoken out immediately. He didn't do that. He waited way too long. And I'll never forget that. And for Mike Pence to stand up there and say that he would still consider pardoning Donald Trump when people were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," is all you need to know about Mike Pence. It's a good question. That's the best answer I can give you. There's no question about that. I do want to bring this up real quickly. It has something to do with Donald Trump's weight. Donald Trump did not go on a scale, but he had to fill out some paperwork. And in that paperwork, he said he was 6'3", 250 pounds. Folks, I'm not making this up. So I just wanted to give a few former professional athletes. Troy Aikman, 6 feet 4 inches, 220 pounds. Seager is listed at 6 feet 4 inches, 215 pounds. Jamie Benn is 6 feet 2 inches, 207 pounds. Max Scherzer is 6'3", 215 pounds. Jason Kidd, 6 feet 4 inches when he played, 210 pounds. I can go on and on. Muhammad Ali, when he was in his prime, 6'3", 215 pounds. Tim Tebow, 6'2", 230 pounds. So I think we all could agree that I'm being very generous when I say Donald Trump. I'm going to say 6'1", 280 pounds. And by the way, I think I'm being very generous when I say that. So I know many of you, it's a shocker. That you'd be shocked to know that Donald Trump is lying about something that involves him. Maybe he'll try to overturn a scale and come up with a fake scale scheme with 18 co-conspirators. I don't know, but the man is not. I think his left boob is 200 pounds, to be honest with you folks. Have you seen that guy on the golf course? He looks like he's 8 months pregnant. So, yeah, he's not fooling anybody when he says 6'3", 215 pounds. That is for sure. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Very funny stand-up comic and voiceover man. You've heard him everywhere. Comedian Jeff Leach is going to be joining us in studio next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. Fantasy football draft is upon us. And in Las Vegas, your number one draft party destination is Sapphire. Don't miss their sexy sports podcaster and Instagram vixen, Lisa Ann, kicking off the fantasy football draft party poolside at Sapphire Day Club, complete with dozens of topless entertainers and cocktail servers, bartenders, free Wi-Fi, and, of course, fantasy draft boards to stake your top picks. Draft poolside or inside Sapphire Las Vegas. Packages are available now online at sapphirelasvegas.com and sapphiredayclub.com. Text or call 702-869-0003 to reserve your draft party today. Again, that number, 702-869-0003. And I'll see you at Sapphire.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, knowledge and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Pine Hollow Winery is the first and only boutique winery in the Las Vegas city limits that features its own handcrafted wines. Located on the west side just minutes from the Strip at 7018 West Charleston, Pine Hollow wines are available for tasting by the glass, bottle, or for carryout. Peach lovers, pick up a bottle of the Warm Fuzzy, which is a sweet Chardonnay-style wine made with peach and apricots. Visit PineHollowWinery.com for their events, wine menu, and hours. That's PineHollowWinery.com.
As a 3-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzone, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their 2 Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
The National Atomic Testing Museum is a national science, history, and educational institution that tells the story of America's nuclear weapons testing program at the Nevada test site. Located at 755 East Flamingo Road, just east of Paradise, the museum offers immersive, interactive experts for guests of all ages. The museum is Smithsonian certified and open 7 days a week. For more information, visit nationalatomictestingmuseum.org. That's nationalatomictestingmuseum.org.
When you bring your vehicle to Star Auto Care for maintenance, you'll have a team of professionals at your service. Every one of our technicians has been factory trained and master status certified to ensure that you receive the highest quality and most effective service. Star Auto Care is located at 3540 East Tropicana Avenue, just east of Pecos. Star Auto Care is confident in their prices and will match any mechanic located within 20 miles. Bring your vehicle in today and let Star Auto Care give you the peace of mind you deserve when you service your car. Visit them online at starautocare.us.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We got comedian Jeff Leach going to be joining us in a few. And then we got life coach, pastor turned stripper, Nikole Mitchell. I know that's always fun. And she comes on the show. That'll be in hour number 2. I want to tell you guys about my favorite gaming bar in town, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. And I got to tell you, great food, great atmosphere, great people, great bar. Been there for 20 years. There's a reason for that. And, God, I had the best chicken Alfredo there the other day. It's so darn good. Jackson's Bar and Grill, please check them out. Ask them about their very special gaming promotions. Sign up for a card. Tell them I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. So I've had the opportunity several times in my life to interview Carlos Santana. I've interviewed most people. Living in Vegas, being in the media, you get to meet a lot of different people, and I've seen Carlos Santana's show. Obviously, a Hall of Famer, phenomenal guitarist. I don't think I'm saying anything that anybody would disagree with there. And by the way, he's also done some stuff for charity. I remember one time I interviewed him at the Andre Agassi Prep School, and he donated a bunch of guitars for the kids there. And I'm like, wow, what a really nice guy. And every time I've talked to him, I've said that. I've said, wow, really down to earth, seems like a really nice guy. Carlos Santana did a show the other day, and he started to, well, you know what? Why don't I just play it for you, and then we'll discuss. He's talking about transgenders. Have a listen to this.
For your laughter. Mental virtual reality. God made you and me before we came out of the womb. You know who you are and what you are. Later on, when you grow up and you see things, you start believing that you could be something that it sounds good, but you know it ain't right. Because a woman is a woman and a man is a man. Whatever you want to do in the closet, that's your business. I'm okay with that. I am like this with my brother Dave Chappelle. Totally like.
So, first of all, who the hell does Carlos Santana think he is to say whatever you want to do it in the closet? No, people are going to be happy for who they are, whether you like it or not, you son of a bitch. You piece of scum, Carlos Santana, you SOB, you bigot. Who the hell are you to tell other people what they should or shouldn't do with their bodies? Who the hell are you? If you don't want to call somebody a woman or a man, fine. Be a bigot. I don't care. Who the hell are you to say do it in the closet? Why don't you play your guitar in the closet and shove it up your ass? Why don't you do that? You bigot. I will never go to a Carlos Santana show again, and if I ever get the opportunity to interview him again, I will damn right address this issue with him. Who the hell do you think you are to tell other people what they should or shouldn't do because your opinions, religious or whatever it might be about transgenders, should be pushed on other people? Do it in the closet. Play your stupid guitar in the closet. See, because here's the thing. He says, be who you are, but do it in the closet. Think about how stupid that comment is and how bigoted that comment is. If your definition of a man is a man, now listen, I actually tend to agree with him on that. I think if you're born a man, I probably consider you a man. If you're born a woman, I probably would consider you a woman. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about respecting other people. If they define themselves differently, or they have a transgender surgery, then it should be our job to treat them with respect, not to say what Carlos Santana said, because I guarantee you there are people in that crowd at that Carlos Santana show. There were probably some people that were transgender, and I can imagine how offended they must have been. For you to tell everybody else what to do? And the comment he made, to me, the most repugnant comment he made was do it in the closet. That's what we've heard for decades and decades and decades about people who are homosexual. We heard the same nonsense, right? Keep it in the closet. Don't ask, don't tell. You come into my bakery, I'm not going to bake a cake for you because I don't agree with your lifestyle. Discrimination when it comes to homosexuality has happened in this country for decades and decades and decades. And that statement that Carlos Santana made, do whatever you want to do in your closet, has been talked about in this society and in the world forever. And now finally, it's a little bit more accepted. Now finally, we're starting to accept people. We, not Carlos Santana. But you see, Carlos Santana wants you to do whatever you want to do, but don't do it in the public. Do it in the closet. I say to Carlos Santana, F you. Who the hell do you think you are? You think just because you're a musician and a guitar player, that gives you the right to tell other people what to do with their bodies? I don't understand these musicians. And by the way, it doesn't matter whether you're left or right, but Jason Aldean is a perfect example. You don't hear a lot of lefties like spewing bigotry and hatred at their shows, do you? It's more of a message about equality, like a Bruce Springsteen, right? He does a show. He doesn't say anything hatred. He talks about treating everybody as equals, equality, and the right. They seem to have a big problem with that. But when somebody like this, or like Aaron Lewis, the douchebag lead singer of Stained, starts making positive remarks about Vladimir Putin, I don't hear anybody having a problem with that. Carlos Santana is an embarrassment to this country, and he should be shamed for it. He should be shamed for his comments. If you think it's weird, and if you think transgenders are weird, guess what? You could think that, keep it to yourself, because I can guarantee you a lot of your fans don't want to hear it. Carlos Santana should lose some of his sponsors, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, Brian, you're cancel culture. Well, guess what? Whatever sponsors he has, whether it's, Fender or whatever guitar sponsors, I would imagine he probably has quite a few. Is that the type of person that you want representing you? Because guess what? People buy your guitars and your musical instruments. Could be guitar picks, could be anything. And some of those people are gay, and I guarantee you some of those people are transgender. Is this the kind of person you want to represent you? I would say probably not. Probably not, ladies and gentlemen. We know how Carlos Santana thinks, so it's not like he can change his views. But at a minimum, what Carlos Santana should do is do a press conference and say he's sorry and clarify what he said. That's what he should do, but he probably won't do that. But that's what he should do. But this is how Carlos Santana thinks. And listen, pre-Donald Trump, a lot of people felt this way, but I think some people were just afraid to say it. And now people just say it on a stage in front of 10,000 people. It's really mind-boggling, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I understand that there are people in society that think being transgender is strange or weird. I understand there's people in society that don't think, if you're born a man, transition to a woman, that, that's not a woman and I'm not going to call you a woman. Guess what? I partly agree with that. I think if you're born a man, I will always consider you a man. If you're born a woman, I'm always going to consider you a woman. But I will also be respectful. If somebody is born a woman, transitioned to a man, transgender, I will call that she a he out of respect. It's a respect thing to not look down upon people. I wouldn't personally do it to my body, but you have the right to do that to your body, and I'm going to treat you with respect. To me, it's no different than if I call somebody Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. I'll call you whatever you want to be called out of respect to you because I don't care. When I go into a restroom, I go in there to do my business and I leave. I'm not looking around me seeing if there are any transgenders looking over my shoulder because number one, they're not. And number two, I don't care. I go in there and I do my business and I leave. And the idea that transgenders are taking advantage of it and they're going into restrooms to sodomize children is a lie. Do I think that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, you should be showering with girls in high school? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And guess what? Most of this country agrees with me. And if you don't, then there's something wrong with you. That's inappropriate. It's inappropriate for somebody born a man, transition to a woman, to compete with other women on the playing field. That's inappropriate. And the overwhelming majority of people in this country agree with me. But that doesn't mean we have to disrespect people who are transgender. That doesn't mean we have to disrespect people who are gay because they might be different than you in your sexuality. We should treat everybody with respect and treat everybody as equals. But Carlos Santana won't do that. And here's the thing that is mind-boggling to me is that if Carlos Santana had a child and that child turning into an adult, whatever the age may be, wanted to get transgender surgery, I guarantee you Carlos Santana would not be talking like that on a stage. It's only when it happens to these bigots do they change. Dick Cheney is a perfect example of that. He was anti-gay. He was anti-gay marriage until he found out his daughter was gay. And then all of a sudden he admitted he was wrong and said, geez, I'm wrong on that one. Well, guess what? It shouldn't take that. Because you should say to yourself, what if it was my daughter? What if it was my son? Should I be saying this about transgenders and people who are gay? What if it was somebody in my family? You probably wouldn't say that stuff, would you? Now, I get it. There are some bigots out there and some horrendous human beings and despicable people that would say, if it was my daughter or my son, I'd kick him out of the house. Obviously, those are despicable people. Those are bigots. There's always going to be a percentage of people like that in society that are like that. No question. But here's a man who's done a lot of charity work, and I'm going back to Carlos Santana, somebody that raised a lot of money for charity. You know, I have respect for anybody that takes time out of their day and uses their platform to help people. I think that's great. He's done charity work here in Vegas. I've interviewed him. He's worked with the Andre Agassi Prep School and Andre Agassi, who's a wonderful person. Here's a guy who's loved by people, not only in this country, but throughout the world. Has a huge platform. He's a unbelievable musician, a Hall of Famer, a huge platform. And spreading that type of bigotry at one of his concerts, you can say he has the right to do it. I'm not saying he broke any laws. He does have freedom of speech. He does have the right to say that. But people also have the right to drop him as sponsors. People have the right to call him out. I guarantee you this is going to hurt Carlos Santana in the pocketbook. I guarantee you this is going to hurt him financially. 100%. Carlos Santana has fans that are gay. Carlos Santana has fans that are transgender. You're telling me those fans weren't upset and are still not upset and disappointed? This is somebody that I had a lot of respect for. Somebody that I've met on multiple occasions. I met him at the House of Blues when he had his album party, when a new album came out. I spent about 10, 15 minutes with him just talking to him and interviewing him. Nice guy. I walked out of there saying, wow, what a really nice guy. That's a legend that I just spoke with. I interviewed him at the Andre Agassi Prep School. He donated hundreds of guitars to the school out of the goodness of his heart. I said, wow, what a nice man. But you see, what I've learned over time is you can do really nice things for people, live your life and help a lot of people along the way, and still be a bigot. Carlos Santana is a bigot. And these people in society need to be called out. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by comedian Jeff Leach. He's performing in Vegas this weekend. We'll take a quick break. Before I do that, I want to tell you guys about my good friends. My good friend and friends at Keller Williams. Of course, I'm talking about Blake Gwynn. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home, you want to talk to a guy who grew up here his entire life. That's Blake Gwynn, my good friend. He also has a big poker event. He's going to be coming in studio talking about that. Money raising for charity for the Ronald McDonald Fund and other charities in late September at Arizona Charlie's. We'll get him in studio next week to talk a little bit about that. But if you're thinking of buying or selling a home, you want to give Blake a call. 702-540-3311. And again, that number, Blake Gwynn over at Keller Williams. Tell him I sent you if you're thinking of buying or selling a home. There's nobody better in the business. 702-540-3311. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this with comedian Jeff Leach. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And the show ain't over yet. Jeff Leach coming up next.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. Fantasy football draft is upon us. And in Las Vegas, your number one draft party destination is Sapphire. Don't miss their sexy sports podcaster and Instagram vixen, Lisa Ann, kicking off the fantasy football draft party poolside at Sapphire Day Club, complete with dozens of topless entertainers and cocktail servers, bartenders, free Wi-Fi, and, of course, fantasy draft boards to stake your top picks. Draft poolside or inside Sapphire Las Vegas. Packages are available now online at SapphireLasVegas.com and SapphireDayClub.com. Text or call 702-869-0003 to reserve your draft party today. Again, that number, 702-869-0003. And I'll see you at Sapphire.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Gwynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call. 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Nikole Mitchell is going to be joining us in hour number 2. Yes, pastor turned stripper. Always interesting talking to people like that on this show. We go from politics to porn. That's what I love about this show. Anyway, the guy we have with us in studio right now, I want to remind all of you, you've heard him on pretty much every famous video game out there. The guy does voiceovers for like literally everybody, and he's a very popular stand-up comic. He performs at the Comedy Cellar a lot. He's here almost all the time, and the Comedy Cellar, by the way, is a great place to catch a show. I go there all the time. I'm talking about the very funny comedian Jeff Leach, who joins us in studio. And before I introduce Jeff Leach, I want him to introduce.
You just did it.
I kind of did. I kind of did. But you came on this show like 6 months ago, and you did an introduction for my show.
I did, yes.
And I want to play it real quick. Here's Jeff Leach,
do.
the introduction of PTL in real time, doing the voiceover for me. It doesn't get better than this on live radio.
Lads, ladies, redheads, you may have heard of a wee warrior called Brian Shapiro. A man taking over the airwaves, showing you the respect that you deserve. And yet, alas, your call has not been heeded. The redhead community has not been represented as it should. Oh, for the love of God, show the support to Brian Shapiro, Pushing the Limits. Available online on all good platforms. And he will show you the support you need, because we fight for honest radio, fantastic broadcasting, and for freedom!
Oh, man, I love it.
Bloody
That was
warrior,
like-
Brian.
that
Thanks,
is
man. I'm glad you
incredible.
liked it.
And you did that right on the cuff, too.
Right off the cuff.
Unbelievable.
Improvisation, mate. That's one of my skill sets.
It's incredible. At what age, Jeff, did you What do you get? You got like a whole jug of water going.
I do have a jug of water, yes.
Wow.
Stay hydrated. We're in Vegas.
Wow.
If
Where
you're
are you
not
from?
carrying around a jug of water, then you're doing it wrong. Come on, guys.
Yes. Speaking
Look
of
after your
jugs,
bodies.
Speaking of jugs, we have Nikole Mitchell coming up, hour number 2. I'm sorry, I had to say that.
Unbelievable.
Yes,
Shocking.
Unbelievable. Where are you from, by the way?
From London originally.
You're from London.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Got that strong accent going. How long have you been in this country for?
I've been in America for 8 years. No, 9 years now. I was in New York City for 4 years. So the Comedy Cellar in New York, they brought me out to America and I spent my first 4 years there. And I moved to Los Angeles almost 5 years ago now.
What do you think of these bloody Americans?
Oh, I mean, I love the American people and I love America. That's why I'm still in the country. I mean, it's nuts. It's absolutely fucking Fruit Loop, right? But am I allowed to swear?
No.
Oh, I just did it.
FCC violations. That's okay.
I just did it.
It's
All right.
okay,
How much do you get charged for that?
You owe me $50,000. Yes.
No! I'm so
You owe
sorry.
me voiceovers for life now.
This is it. Look, 2 minutes into the
You're
interview.
done. You're broke. That's
My
it.
apologies.
That's okay.
I meant fudging. No, I think I love this country, but I do understand that it's nuts. And I think it's true. But the same can be said for England now. A lot of Europe's lost the plot. We're very divided.
What do
It's
you
very
people?
upsetting.
We're very divided too. What do you people in London think about Donald Trump?
Oh, I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't really check in with my friends. What I do see is that American politics has always been treated by British people as kind of like a bit of a joke. It was always very funny to us. It was very amusing. Like, oh, look at them. They're electing a reality TV star. What a bunch of fools. And then we've done exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
followed suit. At one point, Boris Johnson, who was obviously our prime minister previously, before we had the last
Guy was a character.
the last 17 prime ministers we've had in the last 3 months. But he was a character, but he was also a pundit. I know he was a member of parliament, but he was also a pundit on TV shows, reality shows. And we went, yes, that's who we need to run our country. So we followed suit. I think we copy you guys an awful lot.
A little bit.
And everything we mock you for, we end up being guilty
You end
of,
up doing the same thing.
Paralleling, so.
To an extent, I agree with you.
Yeah.
At what age did you say to yourself, forget even about the comedy side of what you do, that you would be this voiceover guy and your voice would be heard almost everywhere?
I was a very lonely child, Brian. So I started doing voices just to play with myself, really. Not like that. Not
like
to
that.
play
Okay.
with myself.
Don't do that in studio, please.
To enjoy playing childhood games in a lonely fashion. There you
Right.
go. That's a better idea. Better wording for it. But yeah, I used to make up little characters and little stage plays at home, with my little WWE wrestlers, or they WWF back then.
Right.
Jake the Snake Roberts and
I loved him.
Legion of Doom, and then I'd have
Bushwhackers.
Exactly. And then I'd have my little army men, and I would play out these kind of stories with them and my dinosaur models, and I'd do all the voices and record it on one of those two old school. You remember those old school tape decks?
4 tracks or whatever.
Yeah, well, it was a 4-track. I don't know. No, it was like 2 tapes could go into it. I don't know if that's a 4-track, and then you could press record and play on
You
one.
can dub over on
Dub over. Yeah.
That was the old school way of doing it.
Exactly. That's how I used to
Yep.
make mixtapes for girlfriends and stuff. You'd have to record off the radio. Well, that coming up next is blah, blah, blah. And I'd try and cut the radio DJ
Did
out.
people think you were crazy? Like, did any members of your family or friends, like when you were doing all these voices, did they think that was weird, or did they actually support you with what
I
you were
mean,
doing?
not enough people saw it to think it was weird. I think my parents just went, he's our child. If he's weird, it's our fault. And my older sibling, she was busy, just living her own life. She wasn't really that interested in my radio play. So yes, that's how I started doing it. But then as I got older, I became a major, I guess a huge fan of the video gaming world.
Right.
And there's nothing better than being able to lose yourself in a story in a video game. Become a hero, become the warrior that we described in your
Describe to people the biggest
your
games
opening
that
there,
we will hear your voice in, because you're all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, Call of Duty and Valorant,
Which
and
is
Total
like
War.
the biggest games of all time, really.
Some of them.
Call of Duty is huge.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you gave me a very kind intro, and I'm very grateful for how much you bigged me up. I've done some big projects, I've done some smaller projects in terms of voiceover, and the same in TV and film as an actor.
All right, let me get personal on you
My
for a second.
biggest stuff is yet to come, Brian.
Oh,
Yet
okay.
to come.
All right, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
Sure,
but
sure.
This just fascinates me. So Call of Duty, you make contacts with a game that I would imagine that game has made billions. I mean,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Billions.
You don't need to imagine it. They did their tax returns.
Billions.
They definitely made billions
They
of dollars.
call Jeff Leach up and
Yeah,
you
and they
talk
go,
to
we
somebody-
want to give you around $8,000 to do some work that's probably going to result in a few $100 million of revenue for us.
You got to be kidding
on
me.
your character.
Are you
just
being
alone,
serious?
selling skins. Yeah.
You're serious? $8,000?
Yeah, that's probably what it worked out as by the end of all the work I'd done.
You have to be effing kidding me.
Well, because the day rate for voiceover actors is very poor.
But
It's very low.
Arguably the biggest video game on the planet.
Well, Brian, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we're currently on strike for things like this.
That's
You
true.
know what I mean?
That's
this
true.
Is it. You get paid trash, and then you go in there. And don't get me wrong, $8,000 is an amazing amount of money to earn after tax. You know, for anything, that's a great amount of money. But not when it has to potentially last you 4 months of living in LA. Do you
And
know
your
what I mean?
voice will always be on that game, right?
Oh yeah, forever. And they
8,000
sold
but eight- and
hundreds of thousands or millions of skins of my character. So my character Ghost in particular will have done, I don't know, anywhere up to 100 million skins
Because I know a guy that did voiceover.
they had 120 million players, multiple skins. It's got to be over 100 million.
Bass player in a really popular band. He doesn't even make that much money touring, maybe a couple grand a show. But he was the voiceover guy, and he still is for Carl's Jr. And he makes boatloads of money.
Commercial, different.
Yeah.
Commercials pay properly because their advertising companies go, yeah, we can't get away with paying you trash on this. Whereas video games can get away with it.
It's been 10 years.
Is this it? It's been 10 years. Where's the rest of it?
You start to forget.
You start to forget. Depends. Keep yourself dry.
You should
remember. Oh, okay. Is this Matthew McConaughey rolling a bogey, staring over?
I think it is.
You can't stop remembering.
Well, man. I remember when I first drove my Subaru. Oh, I was smoking crack cocaine. I was dancing in the moonlight.
We've always had the power.
Oh no, it's a war thing. Oh, it's official revealer trailer for Call of Duty Ghosts. When is this for? 10 years ago, though. This is a different
That's an old one, yeah. Cut that one. 10
Different
years
game.
ago.
This was pre-me, mate.
Yeah.
That sounds great, though.
Those Matthew McConaughey ones are kind of the car commercials are interesting.
All right. I remember the first time I smoked crack cocaine in a hotel room with a woman named Barbara. He's amazing. He can make anything sound cool, can't
Who was
he?
your favorite voiceover? Like, is Morgan Freeman's like one of my favorites?
Morgan Freeman is one of the most iconic voices
Yeah.
of all time. Just
Yeah.
like Walken as well. Because they're easily recreatable as characters, you know, but also they hold gravitas and weight. Morgan Freeman, yeah,
The guy's incredible. So what would you say is a voiceover for if you had the opportunity for a product or a restaurant, whatever the case may be? What is the one place that you would say, God, I really want to do voiceover work for them? What would it be?
What, a corporate entity, mate? Nah, I'm against that. No, I don't know. It depends. Who's got the most money?
McDonald's.
Who wants to buy me 12 houses off the back of those residual checks? In all honesty, if I can answer, I'll answer that question honestly, which most actors won't, or comics won't. Which is, if it was about money, if it was about making money, you do want to be doing something for a McDonald's. You do want to be doing something for a Coca-Cola that's going to run for 2 years, 3 years, and
You
on
make more than
repeat
$8,000.
everywhere. You will make enough money to buy a house.
Yes.
That's the reality.
Sure.
But also, I quite like my soul being intact, at least a little bit. You know, I realize I'm a comedian, so it's already tarnished
Sure.
somewhat. You know, the amount of narcotics and dangerous situations I put myself in. I'm sure at this point, I'm already at least chancing a visit with the devil. But I think there's better ways to create art and to
Sure.
pay your bills than selling yourself to a big corporation like that. So I try not to do it if possible.
And you do some of this stuff in your act. Let's talk about your stand-up. And how
Yeah.
long have you been performing in front of people?
Stand up, I've been doing professionally for about 12 years now.
Long time.
Yeah, so I started. I say professionally. I started doing it 12 years ago, but really, I started getting paid proper money about a year in, which shouldn't have happened. That was only because I was doing TV as a TV host
Right.
in the UK on BBC before that. So I think if you come straight into it, normally you've got to put in at least 5 or 6 years of good work, doing the open mics, you know, playing to 3 people who are, the 3 of which who are comedians and don't want to laugh at you and want you to do trash. And then you start to get paid work and you start elevating yourself. So yeah, about 12 years I've been doing it. And I mean, that's the best thing I do. I
If
think.
somebody
It's
told
even
you, like,
beyond acting, it's,
when you were that
it's
kid
pure.
doing these voiceovers, right? Or when you were, had the 4-track or whatever that was, and somebody said to you, you're going to be headlining, you're going to be doing stand-up comedy
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of
There
the
you
world.
go.
What would you have said?
I would have said, cool. I can't wait to do it. I was very self-assured as a youngster, man. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do. I
Right.
knew I was going to tell stories. I knew I was going to perform for people from a really young age.
Is it weird?
I just wish I hadn't known that, and instead had known that I was going to be a very successful lawyer or doctor and earn $100,000 every morning that I wake up. That would be nice. Save some lives.
But you
that
wouldn't
way.
enjoy it. You wouldn't enjoy it.
Instead, I'm just talking about my deep childhood trauma,
Yeah, who
trying
cares-
to empathize with drunk people.
Who
you
cares
know?
about saving lives? That's overrated.
God,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
overrated. So, like, when you hear your voice, whether it be a commercial or Call of Duty or video game?
You're correct. I immediately get aroused.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
I
you get
do.
aroused.
I'm erect 90% of being in the booth. In fact, putting these headphone monitor cans on and speaking into my own head. I'm not going to lie. I'm at a half chub right now, gents. I know this is a family it's a family radio station. I get that. It's all right. I've kept it all above board with the language, but I can't help it. I'm arousing you, listener, and you're arousing me.
Do you get? Listen. He's a good-looking guy. Do you get
Thank you.
women?
I like how you said it in such a high voice, as if you were. He's
He's all right.
He's kind of all right. The higher you get, the less
It's
real
a very
it is.
heterosexual way. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I am conventionally a 7 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen.
Fair enough.
Conventionally
Are you a
attractive
married
enough.
man? Do you have a family?
Mm-hmm. I do have a little family, but I'm not married yet. I'm engaged to my fiance.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. We're going to get married next year, and we have a little doggo, 2-year-old doggo called Nixie Bean.
Very
and
cool.
Nixie is currently chilling with my lady by a swimming pool right now.
I
Having
love
a great
that.
time, yeah.
In Vegas?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you gonna do an epic intro for your walkout
Oh,
for the wedding?
You know what? No.
That's a good question.
And I'll tell you why. Because it's probably going to be the only thing that isn't going to be comical from start to finish.
I love it.
I don't want my wife to go into the marriage laughing at it. I want her to come out of it laughing. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
If she ever leaves me,
I get it.
she'll be like, all right, I did all right there.
Where are you getting married? Is it here?
No, it'll be in the West Coast.
So you're not
but it
doing the
probably won't
drive-through
be in
wedding?
Vegas. No,
So-
but I did get engaged out in Vegas, man.
Oh, you did?
I had this whole beautiful, exciting plan. I was going to take my missus out to Red Rock, go and do one of the big hikes there. There's one with a waterfall at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I was going to get down on one knee in front of the mountain ranges. And
That's
the
very
waterfall.
romantic.
It's so romantic. And then we went out the night before in Vegas, and she got COVID because someone coughed in her face. And then we went home.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and in the morning when I was trying to take her on this hike, which I knew I was about to propose on, and so did all my friends who were there and the Airbnb we were renting, excited for us to return with a ring on the finger. We left 10 minutes in. She's in tears because she's so ill. So we turn around, come back to the house, and everyone thinks that she said no because she's in tears.
She's
and
in tears.
Yeah, we're like an hour or two early.
Oh my God,
And I'm
poor
like, no,
girl.
come outside. Let's go outside and just
That's okay.
So-
Another personal question
Yeah.
for Jeff Leach, comedian. If you're just joining us, he's going to be at he's there all the time.
Welcome.
All the time at the Rio
join us?
Comedy Cellar. Is a great spot, by the way.
It's
Great-
probably, in my
yeah.
mind, it's one of the most, if not the most iconic venue in the world right
It's
now.
awesome.
For comedy.
Great comedy
The one
spot,
in New
yeah.
York City is where, like, for instance, last night, Jim Gaffigan just did a drop-in. He just dropped down to the venue and jumped
Legend.
on stage. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that does happen down there. And, of
Sure.
course, all the people that are on the lineup.
All right. Well, forgive me if I'm going over the line here, but do you do any of your weird voices when you're intimate with your fiance? Has that ever happened?
I mean, obviously, only when
When you finish.
when it comes to fruition.
You-
Sure.
You actually do your voices.
Yeah, I do what every normal man does, and I bark like a dog, or sort of growl like a tiger,
What?
or occasionally let out the sound of a donkey.
You're being serious though. You really make weird noises at times.
Of course, I'm not being serious.
Oh,
It's a
I don't
radio
know.
show. Come on, mate.
Well,
No,
listen,
I'd
to
probably
be funny,
do the same
I would
thing
imagine.
I'd probably do the same thing as most men. But yeah, bit of that, and then followed up by a succinct, get clear. I'm so sorry. That's not
feel
what
like
it is. Just a kind apology, and we move on. Do you know, and we try and forget about
some
what's happened.
comedians. I'm not saying you're this way, but
Yeah.
there are some comedians that are a little bit
that can last longer than 3 minutes.
that as well.
Oh.
But are a little
I'd
mentally
love to meet
disturbed. A little mentally disturbed. I'm not saying you are. So I think that's for some comics that would be a
I
reasonable.
mean,
question.
listen, mate. First of all, I am 4 years sober from booze, and so yeah, I'm definitely got.
Are
a
you
few
sure that's not
issues.
vodka in there?
It's not.
Oh,
No,
all right.
it's not. No,
I'm
I just
just
smoke the
checking.
devil's lettuce now, and occasionally take mushrooms and converse with God. But yes, I do think that most comedians are damaged. I think it takes a damaged kind of mindset to go, I'm going to explore some of the most personal parts of myself and publicly orate them to try and help other people navigate those own feelings. Whether it's lighthearted or whether it's more serious, talking about mental health. I talk about mental health on stage, but I make it funny. I make it approachable. I make people able to go, you know what, that is funny, but also, God, I do feel that same way. I'm glad this guy gets it. And then hopefully they want to watch more of my comedy.
Of course, I've seen it.
You don't even need to come and see me in person these days. Come on, TikTok, Instagram.
I'm
get
sure
on
Comedy
there.
Cellar loves to hear that.
Yeah,
you don't have to come out to my show.
The point I'm making, please come to the live
I know,
show
I know.
because you'll enjoy it. It'll feel more real. It'll
Of
feel
course,
more
of
connected. And I'll
course.
do stuff that is way more in depth. But what I'm saying is, if you want to get a little taster, go and hop on my TikTok. I got 250,000 people watching already.
a great big
go and do
following
that
on
on Instagram. You know, you can go and watch a bunch of the reels. And if you go, yeah, I like this guy, there's a lot of crowd work. There's a lot of interaction with my audience members. And also, there's always a nice arc to the story, which is hopefully something that makes us feel all a bit more human and connected.
Yes.
Because we live in a world right now where no one feels connected to each
Need
other.
to laugh. I could not agree with you more,
bro.
I
Everyone's
agree.
telling us we're different. You're Republican, you're Democratic, hate each other. You're
agree.
black, you're white, hate each other.
I agree.
You're gay, you're straight, hate each other. Boring.
You see, I tried to connect with Jeff. I said he was a good-looking guy. I tried to connect with him.
We're all apologizing after letting down our ladies in the sexual department. We're all desperately trying to get our husbands.
Well, that's
to give
me.
us
I don't know
back
about you. That's
massages
definitely-
instead of going out with the boys. We're all the same. We just need to realize that a bit more. So I
Yes.
talk about things that make us the same, like love, heartbreak, relationships, health,
Real
getting
stuff. Mm-hmm.
older, children, dog ownership, like navigating career changes.
I love that.
You know, big global issues that kind of affect us on a day-to-day basis in a more micro level.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, who, if there was one comedian that you would want to meet, dead or alive, who would it be?
Well, there's a few. I have a list. I do know my list of tops. And I guess if I could only meet one and spend some decent time with them, it'd either be Greg Giraldo.
Oh, he's the best.
George
He was the best.
Carlin or Joan Rivers. I think hanging
All
out
dead.
with any of those people.
Sadly.
I know. Well, I really like the dead people. I'm into it. Because they let me talk more. And I think
Giraldo
that's,
was
yeah.
I saw him a couple times when I was in high school.
Really?
God,
You saw
this
him
was
live?
Way back, yeah.
Dude,
19,
I'm super
20 years
jealous
old.
of that. Very
19,
jealous.
20 years old, I saw him. Little did I know, I had no idea the addiction issues he had, which sadly a lot of people have in society.
Which what was more
Yeah.
sad he had under control for so many years. And then it was
Right.
only when, you know, the constant yes and no's. You know, he had so many shows that almost got done or pilots that just never went
Amazing
on.
talent.
He was one of the best, one of the most talented comedians, I think, of all time.
Agree.
And it would be insane to consider what he would have been creating at this day and age, you know, 10 years on from his death or whatever, when the man was making comedy that's still like Midlife Vices as an album. If you've never listened to it, ladies and gentlemen, please do yourself a favor, get the audiobook, listen to it on the commute into
He was
work
a
or
genius, and it's sad. We lost him way too young. Obviously, Joan Rivers, that was a horrible circumstance with the plastic surgery, and that went bad. And that was
Is that what caused
yeah,
contributed to
that
her
was
death?
terrible, man. That was
I never knew that it was something, a medical
It was horrible.
problem.
She's a legend. She was a legend. And
You know what
so
though? She said it a million times. I don't care. I'm going to do this work on my body. That makes me feel good. That's how I want to do it. And if it kills me, it kills me. She literally said it. So
She did.
You know,
That's
it's
true.
a shame. It's sad. But
It is. What about today? Like,
what a pair of tits.
Oh.
Eh? What, it's a joke. Just jokes. See, they're just jokes. It was like I
fake though. Fake.
can't say that either.
Fake.
Is that another 50K?
I thought you were talking to me.
Bro, I'm going to close this station down by
you
the end
are.
of this
That's
interview.
$100,000 you owe me now.
What else am I not? Can I say Willie? Can I say
You
Willie?
can say Willie.
That's British. It's
Sick
okay.
Willie.
Good name.
You could say Sick Willie. What was I going to ask you? I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask Jeff.
Now you're thinking about Joan Rivers' breasts.
I
get
am.
it.
I am.
Well,
Or her daughters.
and that's exactly what she would have wanted.
That's probably what she would have wanted.
Hers,
You're right
not her
about
daughter.
that.
She wouldn't want
Who is
anything
your
else.
favorite comic to work with today? Like if you
Favorite
had to,
comic to work with
Yeah, like if you had to
today?
go on the road with somebody, who would you want that to be? Somebody that's actually alive.
That's a great question because I'll be honest with you. I won't say who, but there's so many shady, terrible people within this industry. Like just really two-faced pieces of poop. See? We got it, man. Yes! There we go. No more money coming out of the station coffers today. There's some terrible people in this industry. There are also some lovely ones. The lovely ones I'll focus on.
Like Jeremy Piven would probably be your worst nightmare, right? I actually know. I'm not.
No, I met Jeremy before.
Really?
He's fine.
I've heard
just
he's a nightmare.
He's just an insecure individual.
Yeah.
He's not a bad. I don't know what. Actually, he's been
One of my
accused
friends
of pretty
toured.
awful things. So
One of my
maybe he is a
friends has
bad guy.
toured with him and said he's just not easy to work with. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's part and parcel of Hollywood. 95% of people in Hollywood are difficult to work with. I was difficult to work with before I went and did some work on myself and realized that I'm nothing and we're all the same.
Right.
We're all just tiny shards of energy of the
Right.
same thing. Whereas I think a lot of performers make it all about them.
Ego,
And let's
yeah.
talk about good people though, because there are great people in comedy. There are
Absolutely.
people that I absolutely love. Jessica Kirson is someone who is succeeding immensely right now, blowing up. She's going viral in all her clips, and she's just been a good soul for many, many years. You know, she's someone who's kind and looks after people within the industry.
There's a lot of good people out there. There's no question.
yeah.
Speaking of good people, who are you performing with on stage tonight?
Oh, tonight I'm going to be performing with Mark Cohen.
He's
who
been on
you've
the
had
show
on the show
before.
before.
Great guy.
He
Very
was,
funny.
He was on Friends years ago.
Yep. Curb Your
Very funny guy.
Enthusiasm,
He'll be,
one of my favorite shows in the history of TV. Curb.
He'll be hosting.
Yep.
He is in fact a father, and he also his comedy is very indicative of like
He's awesome.
He tells dad jokes, ladies
Yep.
and gentlemen. If you want to come and see a little bit of granddad humor, he's going to warm you up at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He eases you into it. Then I jump on stage, and it's all the bad words, it's all the sexual material. I'm going to break down your entire psyche and come through it. Who else is on the line? I don't even remember. I've been.
There's 2
performing
shows
all week.
tonight?
Actually, you know what? Can I look this up? Because
You can go ahead and
I'm
look it up.
performing with completely new people tonight who I haven't actually performed
It's
with
not
before.
Jeremy Piven.
Sorry,
though.
I
It's
got,
not Jeremy Piven.
Here we go. View the lineups. Here we go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this
In real time.
In real time, because there is actually one. Oh, here we go. This is who I wanted to talk
Yes,
about.
yes.
Owen Smith,
Mm-hmm.
who I've never performed before with on any lineup. He was on. He was both a writer and an actor on Everybody Hates Chris. You know, obviously the very famous show. HBO's Are We There Yet? He's on that as well, and he's been on Comedy Central a bunch of times.
And there's 2 shows, right?
Yes, there's 2 shows a night, 7 and 9:30 p.m. every night,
And the Comedy
all the way
Cellar-
up until Sunday, and then there'll be a whole fresh lot of comedians from Monday onwards.
You're back every week doing this.
I'm not. No. I'm
Okay.
here until Sunday.
You're
so
here
we do
until
14
Sunday.
shows over the
Okay.
course of the week.
But you're a regular. You come
I'm
back
say
a
this.
lot.
Owen Smith is a fantastic comedian. His writing is incredibly clever and also very identifiable. And he kind of caters to everyone in an audience. I really enjoyed watching him the last 2 nights. And I got to say that he's one that stands out on the lineup.
I'll have to check him out. I'll have to check him out. And
check him out.
Yes, I will. And
almost as good as Jeff Leach.
Yeah, Jeff Leach is very good as
Wings
well.
I just wing it, mate. I smoke a load of weed before I go on stage, and we have some fun. I do sometimes.
love it.
Yeah, I do like smoking before I get on stage. 'cause
Nothing
that
wrong
way,
with that.
Even in the bits where people are not laughing,
Yeah.
I'm still having a great time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's it.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, you are an extremely talented guy.
Thank you,
I've
dude.
seen your stand up. It's incredible. Please check him out.
I
Jeff
love that you're
Leach.
wrapping this up. We didn't even talk about any of the interesting stories, like the time my heart
didn't.
stopped at a festival, or the time that I became an escort for a documentary. See, we could have talked about interesting things. You asked me about all the career things because you're a
Well,
professional.
I asked you about all the boring stuff.
No, professional.
No, but I asked you about your sex life a little bit too.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to talk about that.
You're not
too
gonna talk
deeply.
about it.
I'm only going to mock myself in that because my fiance, I respect her.
Does she go to any of your shows?
She does. She'll be there. Well, she was there last night. She might come tonight as well.
So if a woman
So if
hits
you
on you
want a
after the show,
chance-
does she get jealous?
Oh, never. No, because I just tell them I'm engaged. If a woman hits on me
You're
after the
taken.
show, I already know they're not the kind of woman I would ever want to be with because they're idiots. Because I've talked at length about being in a relationship with a woman, and if that's what you think is the right way to approach me when I've talked about being in love with a woman and getting married, is to come and try and hit me after the show, you're a moron. And there's no way I'd want to sleep with you.
What about if it's a man? No, I'm just kidding.
If it's a man, I'll do it. Yeah,
You'll do it,
the
okay.
more dumb, the better. You know.
Okay, good.
I just want you to push back and think of England.
Jeff Leach, I want you to come back again, maybe when we have a little bit more time. But
And we'll talk about death.
Yes, we'll talk about death. We'll talk about more dead comedians that
And
you wish you
living.
could tour with. Yes.
Yeah, man. No, I enjoyed the questions, though. I don't
Thank
want to
you,
make it seem
Jeff.
like
You're the
anything.
best. I appreciate it. Check him out at the Comedy Cellar, which I agree with him. It's one of the best places to see a
This
show
is my
around.
favorite song as well.
Yes, you see, my producer knows what he's doing. You see that? Jeff Leach, everybody. Good to have Jeff in
Thanks for having
studio.
me
That
on,
was
Jen.
awesome.
Appreciate you guys. Keep
We are
supporting
gonna
this
have-
radio station.
Thank you. And Nikole Mitchell's going to be joining us next. Check out Jeff Leach at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio, as you'll be there through Sunday. All right, thanks for joining us with Jeff Leach. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Push the Limits right here on KSHP.
This little donkey, you never see him kick. When Santa visits his paisans with Dominic, he'll be, because the reindeer cannot climb the hills of Italy. Hey, jingity jing, it's Dominic the donkey, jingity jing, the Italian Christmas donkey, la la la.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey, Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. Fantasy football draft is upon us. And in Las Vegas, your number one draft party destination is Sapphire. Don't miss their sexy sports podcaster and Instagram vixen, Lisa Ann, kicking off the fantasy football draft party poolside at Sapphire Day Club, complete with dozens of topless entertainers and cocktail servers, bartenders, free Wi-Fi, and, of course, fantasy draft boards to stake your top picks. Draft poolside or inside Sapphire Las Vegas. Packages are available now online at sapphirelasvegas.com and sapphiredayclub.com. Text or call 702-869-0003 to reserve your draft party today. Again, that number, 702-869-0003, and I'll see you at Sapphire.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call. 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday, last segment of the week. Thank you so much for joining us. Boy, that guy Jeff Leach is hilarious. That was fun having him in studio. Very funny comedian. Listen, we all have issues, health issues from time to time. If you do, I recommend Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care, located at 61. They do pretty much everything from blood pressure, cancer screening, testosterone therapy, diabetes, work injuries, you name it. Give them a call, 702-248-0554. You could also visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. Sahara West Urgent Care and Primary Care located right down the street here, actually, at Sahara and Jones. All right, the lovely lady that we have joining the show right now, she's been on the show before. I'm so happy to have her back. She's a life coach. You've heard her story from pastor turned stripper. It's really an incredible story. I'm very confident she made the right decision for herself. You've seen her on Dr. Phil. You've seen her on Jimmy Kimmel multiple times. The very, very, very awesome Nikole Mitchell joining us right now. Nikole, thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
Brian, I am so excited. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited for all the things we're going to talk about today.
Yes, and I did want to make the announcement on the air right now. I know you made it on social media that you'll be joining us every Friday. In fact, you are going to be at Sapphire joining us next Friday. So I'm very happy to have you here every week. And thank you for doing this. I think we're going to have a really good time.
I think so too. I've gotten so many messages since we've done our 2 segments together of people like, we love your energy, we love your connection. And I'm like, I'm so happy they feel what I feel like we feel. There's a drive here. So I'm so excited to be able to do this every week with you.
No question. And I've always said this, like, I always need a female voice more on this show. And I'm glad that you'll be able to bring that. So thank you for that. God, so much to get to in the news, right? And so much. I got to ask you with this. I'm not for fat shaming people. I'm not that kind of guy. But when people fat shame others, and of course I'm talking about Donald Trump, and he was indicted yesterday, and the man is not going to be on the front of Fitness magazine anytime soon. I think we all could agree on that. He said that he is 6'3", 215 pounds. I call bullcrap on that. What do you make of a guy who fat shames others, and then he claims he's 215 pounds? And I named the list of all these like professional athletes that are 6'2", 215 pounds. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think, actually, I would say he's actually in alignment with himself. If you're going to fat shame others, then you have no choice but to lie about your height and weight, right? Because otherwise, if you admit that you are overweight, like you're putting yourself in the same camp that you're making fun of, and you won't do that. At the same time, though, I feel like the lesson from here, because I live a very public life, my information's all over the internet. And if you are someone who wants to be known on the internet, if you're someone that wants to be famous, this is where like integrity matters and telling the truth matters, because people will find out. And if you lie about it in the beginning because you don't want people to know and you want to like set yourself up to sound more amazing, now you have this impossible ideal to live up to. And then when people find out, you're seen more as a fraud. So I think people see this and like, yeah, good for him. He can make up whatever he wants, which he can. We're allowed to make up anything. But if you want to be in the spotlight long term, the truth will always come out, and you might as well learn how to be loved for who you really are than some made up numbers or truth about yourself.
I mean, when people do that, do you think it's just like major insecurities when people lie about stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. Like, I'm an Instagram model. You see it all the time with models where we'll put extra filters, and we'll like women will make their bodies smaller because I think that's the only acceptable way, or they feel insecure about how their body is. And I'm sure Trump is human. I'm sure he has all kinds of insecurities. I'm sure he has a really big ego that he wants to keep inflated. And so you'll do anything to maintain a certain image of you, even if everyone else around you can see that's not actually real or true.
And this happens, Nikole, like in dating life. There's a lot of people out there where they'll meet people, and I guess the term would be catfished, right? Where somebody will say they're athletic or they're toned, and then when you meet them, they're not athletic and they're not toned at all. And I say to myself, wouldn't it be better if when you meet somebody, they actually look better in person than their pictures? And it's like, I just feel like it sets such a bad tone because you're being dishonest right off the bat, right?
Oh my gosh, I have that insecurity, Brian, where like I have professional modeling photos all over the internet, and I get nervous when I meet people online. So I'm like, I agree with you. I would much rather look better in person than have someone come up to me like, oh, you look better in your pictures. I'm like, oh, right? So like, we all want that. But this story being catfish, that actually happened to me. And this is something I've had to work on. I'm like embarrassed to tell the story. I've never told the story before. So I'm saving it for you, Brian, where this guy and I were flirting online, and I was vibing with him. He sent me one picture, but it was a group photo, and he was in the back. So I didn't really get a good glimpse. He looked good to me. And then I showed up at his apartment because we were going to do the deed, and he was short and stout. And like I thought he was tall and slim, the way the picture presented itself. And I felt so duped in that moment. But back then I didn't have the courage to walk away. So I went in and did him anyway, even though I didn't want to. So now my lesson is, Brian, I've learned my lesson.
Wait.
I know. No, I don't want to unpack this. I'm so
No,
embarrassed.
come on, Nicole, don't be embarrassed, because we've all been with people that we right? So, we've all done it, right? I'm sure every single woman I've ever been with feels that way about me. So don't worry about it. No, but like when you're in the moment where you're totally not attracted to somebody, and clearly you weren't attracted to this man, short and stocky. Are you sure you didn't meet up with my friend Chris Wynn? I'm sorry. That was a shot at my friend Chris. But no, in all seriousness, how do you go through with it? Like if men are different, right? A lot of men are different, where I would say, like, if a man has no attraction to a woman, unless he's, I guess I shouldn't speak for most men, but if he's intoxicated or whatever, but if not, they just don't do it. But yet a woman is able to do it. How? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, I'm a little bit an anomaly where I genuinely find I'm more attracted to a person's energy than their physical appearance. And I know that's not true for everyone. There's a lot of people like they're only attracted to a certain type of person. I have a certain type that's my preference, but if you have good energy, I'm going to do it with you. Like, I like that. So even though this guy wasn't what I was expecting physically, and I did feel disappointed, I felt a little catfished, his
Yes.
energy was really good. So I justified it with his
Fair enough.
energy was good. And then I'm like, and then I'll never see him again was the thought behind that
Let's
decision.
talk about that, because in the political world, there are some people like the Carrie Lakes of the world that use this term, and I really haven't heard it before until recently. I can't say the second word, but it starts with a D, and I think you know what I'm talking about. It's called Big D energy. Can you explain what that means to you? Big D energy.
Yeah, there's like an obsession in our American culture with big D's, like, there's an obsession for the men because men always typically want a bigger D. Women are taught to want a bigger D, but as a woman who's been with all kinds of D, I actually found that I prefer average D. I think big is not my preference and
I have a
small is not my
chance.
preference. But I will tell you this. That person I got catfished by, and I did it with anyway, had a smaller D, and it was some of the best intercourse I've had. I'm like, I can't even, not even sure what words I can say. So even there's evidence that you can have a smaller D, but you can also be phenomenal in bed. And I think that's what I care more about. It's like, it's less about your size and it's more about your energy, which I think is the point of BDE. It's less about having a certain size of D, and it's more about the confidence, the energy, the skills you bring to everywhere. And for me in particular in the bedroom.
I know you're a life coach, but do you also do classes on like how to please a woman and how to improve your sex life? Do you do stuff like that as well?
I do. I teach a sex ed every month inside my OnlyFans for that reason, because I get a lot of questions from men, like, how do I pleasure a woman? How do I know if she's having a real orgasm or not? Like, how do I tell her that I have a smaller D? Or what if I think my D is too big? Like, I've had every question you can imagine asked to me, and I realized like we need more classes around this.
What man would say, I think my D is too big? That's wild. What a problem to have. That's interesting.
You're like, can I have that one?
Are there
People
actually
though.
men
They're
out there
afraid
that
'cause
think like that?
there's women who apparently for some of these men, women who said absolutely not.
Wow.
Yeah, because I mean, the average vagina is like 3 to 5 inches deep. So if you go beyond that, like women can experience extreme pain, and so then there's women who've learned that, and like I will not interact with the big D.
I
For
learned
sure.
something new today. That is for sure. From Nikole Mitchell. That's interesting. I would think that wouldn't be a problem, but I guess for some people it actually is not a problem for me. So I won't be asking you about that. But anyway, I wanted to switch topics here quickly, and I wanted to talk to you about something that is really bothering me today. I got really pissed off when I heard Carlos Santana's statements the other day at a concert. And, I said this on the air in the first segment that, I've interviewed Carlos Santana multiple times, always been nice. I was always really impressed with him, and he does a lot of charity work. I remember he came out to Vegas and he donated a couple hundred guitars to a local school. And I was one of the only members of the media there, and he took 15 minutes with me and we talked, and I was like, wow, I was really surprised. And then he goes on stage the other day and he says, if you're transgender, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, if you're gay, transgender, keep it in the closet, do whatever you want in the closet, but I don't want to see it. I mean, that's basically what he said. What do you make of those statements? And I just think I think it's the definition of bigotry. What do you make of that?
Oh, totally. I mean, it breaks my heart, honestly, because he doesn't understand that his words affect people's lives. Like, people in the LGBTQ community have a higher rate of suicide, right, than in the heterosexual population. And when you say hate speech like that, when you say bigotry comments and you think you're just stating fact, you're just stating truth, you're actually harming people with their words and you're invalidating their existence. And it creates a ripple effect of damage. And so it kills me that here he is, this good man with a good heart who does good in the world, and at the same time causes harm. With that said, when this happens, my knee-jerk reaction, and I think this is true for most of us, we want to demonize that person. How could you say you're good? How can you donate and be a good person and yet invalidate and harm an entire population group? But then I think there's that flip side to all of us. We all do good and there's times we do harm. And my hope is that Carlos will come around. If he really cares about children and he donates to these causes and he has a good heart, my hope is that he just needs more exposure and education to realize the harm that he's doing. But that's the eternal optimist in me. And I know not everyone feels that way.
Well, the point that I don't think you're wrong. The point that I made was that, what if his son or his daughter was transgender or wanted to be transgender? I don't think he would have made those statements, right? And there are politicians and policymakers out there that have been anti-gay marriage and anti-LGBT community their entire careers. And then when they find out, like a Dick Cheney finds out that his daughter's gay, then all of a sudden they change. And I say, it shouldn't take that for you to change. Put
You
yourself
are
in their shoes, right? Put
you
yourself
are
in
spot
their
on.
shoes. Yeah.
You're spot on, because when I came out of the closet publicly in 2017, and I did a whole educational series on my YouTube, and one of them I said, be the kind of person that is safe to come out to. So now Carlos has made it very clear to his children. I don't know if he has children. I don't know much about him, but has made it very clear to anyone in his inner circle, he is not safe to come out to. And that's a loss. He just lost an intimacy that he could have had with people in his inner circle by saying these hurtful comments. And that's what I wish these people knew, is like, not only saying something hurtful to the population at large, you've also now closed the door on intimate relationships within your inner circle.
And, you know, I agree. And I say to myself, there were probably, I don't know, let's guess, maybe somewhere around 10,000 people at this show the other day, right? And I would, you know, he's Carlos Santana. He's a legend, a music legend. And out of those 10,000 people, there were plenty of people in that crowd, I'm sure, that were probably gay and transgender. And I say to myself, for some of these people that have had to deal with discrimination, and it's been difficult enough their entire lives, and I would imagine for many of them, their hero is Carlos Santana. To hear him go there on a stage and say that, I'm not even sure he can really comprehend the damage he's doing to some of his fans and the hurt that he is causing, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's aware. I really think if people were aware, and again, this is the optimist in me, I think if people were aware of how harmful they were being, they wouldn't do it. But I think people like him actually think they're doing something good. They think they're taking a stand for truth. They think they're keeping people in the straight and narrow, and really they're pushing people off the path and saying you don't belong here. And that is ultimately harm, not helpful.
I think what many people don't understand is, you know, we'll hear, you know, as far as socially, Black Lives Matter. And then, you know, people that are against the Black Lives Matter movement will say white lives matter, or everybody's life matters. And the Black Lives Matter movement was never saying only our lives matter and your lives don't matter. But I can't recall a time that I was white in my life and I feel like I was treated differently because of the color of my skin. And that's what these movements are all about, right? It's about equality. And there are people out there that can't stand these gay pride parades. And I say to them, why? These people, you don't need a straight pride parade because there hasn't been discrimination against straight people. The whole reason why they're having these parades is because they've been the victims of discrimination their entire lives, and they want to be treated as equals. And this is their opportunity to show to the world, hey, this is who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. Why do you think there's so many people out there that still don't understand that? And they say, Black Lives Matter. What about white lives matter? Or if there's a gay pride parade, what about a straight pride parade? What would you say to those people?
It just shows how blind we are to the water we swim in. You're right. We don't need a pride parade for straight people because our entire society props up and holds up heterosexuality as the norm. All the movies typically center heterosexual couples, right? All their cartoons center heterosexual kids. Like your entire world exists around you. Whereas if you're queer or if you're Black, the world is not set up for you. There's entire systems in place to discriminate and oppress and marginalize you. But if you are in a position of privilege, you are above the discrimination. You are above systems of oppression. So you can say, well, I don't see it. You're right. You don't see it because the system has built up for you to be blind to it. But for those who are from any marginalized community, not only do they see it, they live and breathe it every single day. And so I just sometimes think the really privileged just don't have enough proximity to people who are different than them to realize, oh, wait, my experience is valid. Doesn't mean it is the only experience all humans have. It's just mine. So what can I learn from Black people? What can I learn from queer people? What can I learn from immigrants? Instead of assuming you know what their experience is, why can't you lean in and be curious and learn from them?
Great point. I think that's a great point. And when I talk about racial issues and racial discrimination, whatever the case may be, what I always say is, listen, I don't know what it's like to be Black, but here's what I try to do. I try to listen to people that have different stories than I have, that brought up differently or a different race or culture. I try to listen to them. And I think that, you know, so many people in society today, they're just not willing to do that. People that say systemic racism don't exist. People that even some people would say racism doesn't necessarily exist. I say, do you know what it's like to be followed in an electronics store because of the color of your skin and fear people thinking that you're going to steal, or being pulled over because of the color of your skin? I don't know what that's like. You know, when I get pulled over, chances are I did something wrong. I might have been speeding or whatever. And I know a lot of people, and I've been in the car with people who are black who have literally been pulled over for no reason other than being black. And, listen, the overwhelming majority of police officers, no doubt, will not do that. But there are officers out there that do. And it's just horrible. It's wrong. It's terrible.
And I think we all want to live in this bubble where the world is fair and just, especially if you come from a privileged community. If you're white, if you're heterosexual, if you're a native English speaker, right? Like we want to believe that this is the existence for everyone, but it's not. And so that's where it's like, we don't want to learn bad news. We don't want to learn about painful systemic issues and problems, but it's what's going to make you a better ally. It's what's going to make you a better advocate. It's what's going to make you a better global citizen. So I know it's inconvenient. I know it's annoying, but let yourself learn, because even you learning is nothing compared to their lived experience. The annoyance of education costs you nothing compared to their embodied oppression. And so the least we can do is become educated and then advocate for a better and safer world for everyone.
Yeah, let's talk about that. A big issue that a lot of people they were talking about it on the Republican debate stage the other night. And an issue that I think a lot of women are in fear of is the issue of abortion. And there are plenty of people on the right out there, even though the overwhelming majority of Americans, it's well over 60%, that believe in the woman's right to choose. And obviously I'm one of them. But there is a large portion of society, whether that be 40%, 35%, 45%, it's still a large portion of society that if they had it their way, they would get rid of abortion altogether. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what's so interesting, Brian, is I actually switched camps. So I was raised in a pro-life, anti-abortion upbringing. So that's what I used to believe, because I was told to believe that. And now I've switched. I'm in the, pro-choice, pro-life from womb to tomb. I don't believe in just pro-birth. I believe in quality of life all the way through. And before I realized, when I was more pro-life and anti-abortion, I was taught women want to kill babies. Women want to harm. Women were made to be bad guys. It wasn't until I sat with women, learned from women, read their books, watched their documentaries, learned their stories, and I realized they don't have the money, they don't have the support, they don't have the resources, they don't have the means to provide the quality of life a child deserves, or something traumatic or tragic happened to them. And the abortion is not only just better for the woman, it's better for everyone, for her already existing children. It's better for this fetus to not come into this life that she can't provide for. And our society is not set up to support women, to support children. We don't have childcare. We don't have all the services that we need as women to have a thriving family. And so once I realized all the obstacles a woman faces in raising a child, especially when the father refuses to be in the picture or the man assaulted the woman and she's forced to carry it on her own, it is not our right to force a woman to carry something through that's going to cost the quality of life for her and everyone in her life with her. I realized there's a whole other story behind why women choose abortion.
Yep, I agree with you. And what frustrates me more too on this issue is that just because you want to give a woman the right to choose doesn't mean we're all jumping on trampolines when a woman has an abortion. There are some Republicans out there that call themselves pro-life that make it sound like if you're okay with abortion, that means you're celebrating it. And that's not the case at all. I think it's a at times, very difficult decision for a woman to make. It's a very personal and difficult decision. And while I believe a woman should have the right to choose, we're not celebrating abortion. What we should be celebrating is giving a woman the right to do what she wants to do with her own body. I don't agree with late-term abortion unless there's a medical reason for it. I certainly wouldn't condone a woman that's had 10 abortions. You haven't learned from maybe some mistakes you've made in your life, which we all make. But I'm not saying we should put a number on it, but I also don't have the best of feelings for a woman that might have 10, 20 abortions. I think that's disgusting as well. So I think there has to be some sort of healthy medium there, right?
And I think that's an anomaly. I think the extreme people who have a lot of abortions, they're the rare. And my first question is, again, curiosity. Why? What would cause a woman to do that? And what I immediately think of, she doesn't have access to proper birth control. She doesn't have insurance to cover her doctor visits and get the birth control she needs. She has mental health issues, and if she's not given access to her medication, she also doesn't know how to stay on top of, there's so many factors where I don't think, very rarely is a woman let me just have sex and get as pregnant as often as possible and abort all the fetuses. I think it's more there's all these issues at hand that prevent a woman being fully in control of her health and body, because again, America's not set up for the flourishing of people. I think it's quite oppressive in many ways. And so when that happens, it's my curiosity. What can we do to help support that woman? But you're right. I don't think we're never celebrating. The few women I've supported through abortion, it has been one of the most heartbreaking and one of the most tragic experiences, not because of the abortion itself, but because of how they even found themselves in that situation, the man who abandoned them, the lack of resources they have. Like, it is such a heavy decision that they have to make. And media makes out that they are monsters when they are often some of the most loving mothers having to make a really hard call.
Yeah, and I see some of these people on the Supreme Court that are, with all due respect, some of them very similar views as to your family, right? Your family, in that they're ultra religious, they're far right, and at times extremely judgmental. And to me, I'm not shocked that Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. Now it goes to the states, but there are some states very different than others. This is not. To me, that this is just a right versus left thing. The people on the far right call themselves pro-life, but if you call yourself pro-life, then why do you vote against government programs that will help that mother raise that child? It could be maternity leave, it could be food stamps, could be welfare. Basically, any government program that can help a mother raise a child, Republicans vote against, yet they call themselves pro-life. They're not pro-life. They're pro-anti-abortion. That's what I call it.
It's pro-anti-abortion, and they're pro-controlling women. Because if you really were pro-life, you would have resources and systems in place to empower women, to empower families. But they actually do things that tear families apart, that force a woman to choose again and again and again, one or the other, when a woman shouldn't have to choose. She should be able to choose her health and her family. She should be able to choose her job and enough income. She should be able to choose a career and proper childcare for her children. But we are forced to often choose one or the other. And it kills me that people aren't more supportive of the very things that'll help a family and especially children thrive. And then the woman is blamed, not the system.
Unfortunate. And I think that's why the Republicans are not going to be winning the popular vote anytime soon. Issues like this one where they're just on the wrong side of history. All right. I'm going to try to make the transition now from abortion to Barbie. I'm going to be the first person in radio history that's going to be able to do that. So I haven't watched the new Barbie movie. I'll be honest with you. I probably won't. I know you're a big Barbie fan. Isn't that right, Nikole?
Well, I haven't even seen it. I'm actually going to see it this weekend. It's so fun. I'm very girly. I'm a feminist, but I've actually had very little interest in seeing it. But I'm going to see it because the movie has broken records. And that's what I care about. Whenever I see anything that comes from a marginalized community. So this is directed by a woman. This is produced by a woman. And it has made the most money this year out of all other movies. That caught my attention. Like, what is it about this film that caught like wildfire? Why is this such a huge hit? And I will find out personally this weekend, but I just want to acknowledge the women who directed and produced this movie, because there is a stigma against women producers and women directors. And even when they were trying to pick out the male actor for Ken, they were curious, who can we pick? Because that male actor will not have a name in the movie. He'll only be known as Ken, and his name will not be in the title of the movie. And his bosses will be women. And there's a lot of male actors who will not do that. So like, A, that just shows systemic misogyny at place here. And B, even with all that misogyny in place, this movie blew off the charts. And that I want to celebrate, and that I want to recognize.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Maybe I'll see the movie when it goes on DVD. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna have a viewing party together, Brian. Because here's the thing: if you follow me on social media, my followers know this. I'm very naive and uncultured because of my upbringing. I couldn't watch most movies. I couldn't listen to music. I couldn't watch most TV shows. So to this day, I'm lacking in pop culture education by about 20 years. And so I have a whole list of movies that I'm required to watch by my followers and by myself to catch up on the times. So you and I should have a movie night together, and maybe it'll be Barbie, or maybe it'll be another 90s movie that you think I should watch. I think that'd be so fun.
Only if you invite the short, stocky guy that had big D energy, so I can learn from him. If you invite him, then I will absolutely consider it. I want to meet this big D energy guy with the small PP.
Oh my God!
I need to learn from him. But well, I'm happy to announce that you'll be not only will you be coming on the show every week, but you'll also be in the flesh, live, literally at Sapphire. Next week, and we're going to have some very special guests there. So I'm happy you're coming back to town. And why don't you give out that information, how people can follow you on social media, be a part of your OnlyFans, and learn a little bit more about you.
Yes, please come say hi. I'm on all the social medias. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, OnlyFans. Probably the easiest way is to go to my website, NikoleMitchell.com, or here in my image box, you see my my Twitter handle that also has a link to all my links. But come check out my OnlyFans. We have an amazing community there. Check out all my other social media platforms. I'm active on there every day. I love to engage. Let me know you're here, and I will say hi.
And I know a lot of the crusty old conservatives that listen to this radio show will be signing up. Those are the guys that will immediately be signing up for your OnlyFans page.
They are welcome too.
Yeah. Yes, Lindsey Graham will be the first one up. I know that.
Are you calling me crusty and old?
No,
Okay.
You're crusty, but you're not old, Justin. You're not old. Well, Nikole Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us. I learned a little bit more about Big D Energy today. I can't wait to post that on social media.
Oh
And
my God.
I always appreciate it when you come on with us, and I look forward to seeing you in the flesh in person next week, and look forward to having you on every week. This is going to be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the news to talk about. So, Nikole, it is always a pleasure. Have a fantastic weekend, and can't wait to see you next week.
You too, Brian. Thank you.
All right, take care. That's Nikole Mitchell, everybody, life coach. You've seen her on Dr. Phil, and my boy Jimmy Kimmel. Used to be a pastor, now an OnlyFans model. I love her story. I just think it's so awesome. It's so great, and I love it that I can talk to her about anything and get a female's perspective, which we need on this show when it comes to serious issues too, of course, like abortion, for example. So I'm happy to announce that she's going to be joining us every week, and it was great. We got to get JJ Snyder back on the show too, by the way, even though I don't really talk to her about Big D Energy or abortion. We don't really talk about those issues with her. I love JJ as well. So how would that be fun? Having Nikole and JJ in studio at the same time. That'd be too much. That'd be overload, right? What do you think? That might be a little bit too much. I don't know.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Too much eye candy.
Yeah.
Too much eye candy. Yeah, you're right. You got enough with me. That's enough eye candy for you. You don't need it. You don't need it.
No.
You got a lot of good looking guys that work here, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm one of them. So, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, to each their own. Beauty in the beholder, right? Is that what they say? I don't know. But anyway, now that everyone has vomited in their mouth during lunch hour, I will say this. It's been a fun week of shows. We'll be back on Monday. I have a feeling Chris Wynn will be back as well. That might have been Chris Wynn that she was talking about. I got to talk to him about that. He was the short, stocky dude. I don't know. He'll be joining us on Monday. Alan Bigelow, who's running for office here as a Republican, is going to be joining us in studio next week as well. Vivek Ramaswamy is scheduled to be coming on the show next week. We're still trying to get an actual time, but we're working on that. But he will be joining us at some point next week. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm going to have a good weekend, spending time with family, spending time with friends, maybe lying by the pool. Man, the pool season's almost over. It's getting depressing, man. It's almost over. But I'm going to try to relax and have a good time. I hope you all do the same. Thank you, everybody, for following me on all my social media platforms. Also, my thanks to comedian Jeff Leach. That guy is awesome. Can't wait to have him back as well. So thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. We will see you on Monday. Have a good day, everybody.